that you can dance to, cracks you like a whip, but it feels so right. Outside the world is colder every single night. It's another fight. So what's it gonna be? A symphony tonight.
First of all, what's your name?
Matt Willison.
Right. What do you drive?
Red S13.
What color's your underwear?
What underwear?
He's good. Yeah. I guess obviously, my boy Matt Willison, member of BATTLESTAGs and shit, out here at 100 Drifters. It's always weird as shit talking on a fucking camera, especially when you have one just pointing in your face and stuff randomly. Let me set this up or something, so I'm not holding it and you're like, whatever. Nah, man, I mean, first of all,
Thank you.
Robbie asked me if I was a fucking Maryland dude. He was like, I was like, Maryland? He's like, yeah, Coors Light. Fuck this. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm cheap. But, by the way, I quit drinking. I'm not drinking. I am drinking.
Or drinking.
But, dude, how's it going today? Car feels good.
Making mistakes, but nothing major yet.
I think that you always say that you're making mistakes when it doesn't look like you're making mistakes to anybody else. I was having a conversation with like Brandon from Blackhand about that, and those dudes, like, you're always real smooth and shit, and you have like basically 0 angle mods, which is fucking pretty crazy. The angle you get, like riding with you on Jefferson and shit, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It feels like a car that has angle, but it's all you're driving, like for real. So when you get angle, it's gonna be like you're gonna be like a kid in a fucking candy store.
I hope.
You know?
That was the plan. The plan was to learn how to drive the car without any band-aids until I was limited by the car, and then I will replace it. So I'm hoping for this winter to do some angle mods, and we'll see what happens.
It's kind of hot and sweaty in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable though?
Very rapey.
It is rapey. It smells rapey. It smells like fucking hot Cheetos and car farts. See? Worked on that shit all night long. How'd you get into drifting? How'd you find out about it? How'd you get into it?
Well, I mean, it just kind of all escalated from just being into cars. Started out in high school.
Were you always into Japanese cars?
Not necessarily. Believe it or not, as dumb as it sounds, my first car was a Cavalier that I bought with my own money.
Badass.
And I always liked...
I prefer the Sunfire.
I started like seeing people in the area with modified cars, and they look cool, and most of them were Japanese cars. And I was
immediately
like, oh, that
ran
shit's
out,
pretty
bought
cool.
every part from RK Sport.
No, actually, I bought a Bomax kit.
Really?
They have a Toyota Cavalier. If you didn't know that, that is a real thing. Swear to God, look it up. Google that shit. So they have a Bomax kit for it, and I was like, oh shit, let me get that Bomax kit. So then on top of that, believe it or not, since there is a Toyota Cavalier, TRD makes things for them. So I bought a TRD wing, which kind of looks like the TRD wing for a Supra.
Yeah.
But on a Cavalier. Super stupid now that I look back at it, but it's whatever. So that was me starting into it. And then when I realized how stupid it was to modify a Cavalier, then I moved on to, you can probably guess, a Honda Civic.
Oh.
Okay. So got into a Honda Civic, and I actually initially bought it as a beater car.
D-Tech or not?
It wasn't when I bought it. It was
For
a
how
CX
long?
model for a year.
Yeah.
And I just drove it, and I was like, all right, this is boring. And then I started having friends, meeting people into Hondas, and then I ended up B18C JDM Type R swapping.
We're getting cold bond right now. Hold on. Open it.
Is Matt in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. We're doing a Vanterview.
Oh, cool. In a little bit, can you move your car? I'm gonna try to go back out.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So he needs to move it for you to get out?
Yeah. You can take your time.
It's a Vanterview. Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So Civics?
JDM Type R swapped it. Ended up building the entire head and camming it, and made it rev to like 9,300 RPM, and drag raced it and street raced it. Then I started seeing 240SXs
Yeah.
around 2004, maybe. I was 20 by then, and so I came across an S13 hatch. Guy wanted to just flat out sell it. It already had an SR20 in it. So I was like, oh cool, I don't even have to swap this one. I really like the way these look. Sold my Civic for the same amount as the S13 was. Went and bought the S13. Started driving it, getting used to it, liked it. First rear wheel drive car. Started sliding around a little bit in parking lots, and like I live in a real mountainous area.
Did you do events with that car before, or is this car is the first car you did events in? So when did you run into this? Because it's got history. Because Corey owned it.
I've had it for 3 years.
Corey owned it. It went to somebody else, and then went to you, right? Or?
Yeah, it went to somebody else, and then it went to the guy that I bought it off of. And it was in really rough shape then. It was pretty beat. And I got into this mode where I took some time off from cars from the S13 hatch I had. I sold it because I raced dirt bikes for a long time, and I wanted to start traveling a little bit in racing, so I needed a truck. So I found a guy that wanted to trade a truck for my S13, and I did that, and then I started really racing my dirt bike. And as I started to get a little bit older,
Were you doing hair scrambles or
hair scrambles, GNCC races, enduros, stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
But then I started to get a little bit older, and now I have a kid and a mortgage, and I just couldn't afford to take the risk to be off work. So back into cars I went.
It's pretty funny. That's a lot. That's very, very similar to what I did, because I grew up. I came up in the cars and shit, and got into 240s and all that. Had like issues, didn't have a garage, and had issues with like this one S14 I had. And then I'm like, it's my interview. No. But same sort of fucking deal is. I basically was like, screw it, man. I can get a bike, and it already runs 10s or 9s in the quarter, and it's super fun. I mean, sport bike shit, so it's like a cheese stick, sort of whatever. But I got into that shit, and it was having kids and injuries and shit that led me back to cars, and the shit that I love. But yeah, so you got back into cars.
Found this car. It was a super beat, straight up project car, but that's what I wanted, because I don't want to buy a done car. I want to make my own car and do it the way I want it. So I found that. It had an SR in it already.
Like how rough was that? Because that's insane, because your car is insanely clean. You have the cleanest drift car that I've seen inside and out. It is without a doubt the cleanest interior, especially, yeah.
Well, the floorboards needed cut out because they had rust holes in them like this big.
There was when Corey had that car, there was rust in the firewall at the bottom, and a little rust on the floorboards, and I think the bottom of the frame underneath the strut towers. There were some issues with it back then, and then a dude had it after him.
Somebody hit something with it on the passenger side quarter right behind the door, and it was caved in pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I pulled it out as much as I could.
You got pictures of that, right?
Yeah. And I was like, well, screw it, I'll just put overs on it. And then I started getting into, well, screw it, I'm just gonna Sylvia front it and kit it while I'm at it. And so I did that, and then painted it, and it turned from me buying it as a missile car into me going overboard.
Like making it super
And then
nice.
once I started, I just couldn't stop. And if I'm gonna do this, well, I'm gonna do this, and then, well, if I'm gonna do that, then I got to do this, and it just kind of escalated. So the first year, I made it look nice, painted it, Sylvia front, wheels, suspension, all that stuff. The second year, I decided I'm pretty bored with this SR20 now. I'm ready to move on and make a little more power. I'm just going to go ahead and JZ swap it, because it makes more sense to do that than to put a big turbo on my SR.
Your CDO09?
R154.
Right?
I'm the late model Chaser tripod R154.
Yeah.
So, got that.
How's
Threw
that
it
beer?
in over the next winter that I had it, year 2.
I'm sorry, I was interrupting. How's your beer?
It's watery.
Yeah, scores. It's pretty fancy. I didn't know. I just I see a beer in somebody's hand. There's peer pressure. I've got to apply.
I was going to bring you one from West Virginia, if you've ever heard of Mountain State Brewery.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I was
Never
going
had
to
it.
bring you one of those, but I didn't know if you were drinking, so I just like...
I should have brought you a Sapporo to return
still have a
the
bunch of
favor. I still have that can. I do.
So yeah, then year 3, after I started hammering down with the JZ and started getting pretty comfortable with the car and going a little bit faster, and I have a 2-year-old, it just started setting in, my old age started setting in that, okay, I should probably focus on my safety a little more, so I decided to put the cage that I have in it now. And,
Who did your cage?
one of my best friends, Rob Courtney, he's a fabricator.
It's
So
super nice.
I had to kind of sweet talk him to doing it because it's his least favorite thing to do. But so yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Hell yeah. Right. First events were here, or were they Shenandoah? They were here.
Very first event was here.
Yeah. My first events were here. The very first event I had was 100 drifters. I think it was 100 drifters. Yeah. But yeah. So how many events did you do here before you started going down to Shenandoah?
I did. This is my 3rd year, so I did like 2 full years of here. Pretty much. Not every event, but the ones that I could make with my work schedule and money and stuff. And I did as many as I could here. And
it's good on tires here. You know,
it can
what's
go
that?
either way.
Well, yeah. I mean, generally, it's not as bad on
smooth.
tires. It's like Shenandoah will, you know, like you go through them super fast, depending on the layout, of course. But
I started going to Shenandoah events just because I had a couple friends, Kyle, Kennedy.
yeah,
They talked to me, oh yeah, you should come check this out. And I was a little hesitant at first because it's just an oval track, and I was like, well, I don't know, I'm kind of used to a road course. I just don't know if it's going to be cool. But then I started going there, and it was just like, the vibe there was just
yeah,
was
dude.
good,
It's
man.
super
It just felt like
chill.
home. And that's when I started. I just immediately somehow just parked next to all you dudes. Just randomly.
Yeah, I remember Corey was like, "Yo, come here, man. This is my old car. You're not gonna believe it." And he showed me, and I was like, I mean, it's not like the car was like that horrible, but it had, you know, it wasn't that great when he had it, you know. And then it gone on, you know, to whoever else or whatever. But you know, and Corey did everything that he could do at the time, you know, to bring it up and everything. But I couldn't believe it, man. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it. And then the cage work, you know, the engine bay is the cleanest engine bay out of any drift car I think I've ever seen, period. But the cage, everything, like the interior headliner with the cage, you know, I guess, was it Thomas, Blackhand Thomas I was talking about when they're doing a suede dash for Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't Thomas. Ben, I was talking to Ben, and he was like, yeah, you know, we were doing a suede dash for Brandon. He was like, yeah, and so I was like, oh, look, there's this guy's doing the suede dash at the same time, so we'll use this for an example. And it was you, and he talked to you about it. He asked you some question about it, and you're like, oh yeah, I used your 1J for a guide. And he was like, no, you did not. Whatever, like, it's because, like,
Totally did.
yeah, Ben did a lot of work with that guy, that 1J swap guide. He did a ton of work.
Yeah.
Like, I would
It was
never,
pretty informative.
there's no way I won't even take pictures of anything ever when I'm working. Like, I'll do shit. I never worked with anybody working on a car or anything like that. But like, to take the time and write down the steps,
It's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work, man. And I think his swap guide is like one of the, like, that's kind of like the go-to.
It's a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a good base to start with.
Yeah, it is, man. It's good, dude. So BATTLESTAGS. I mean, we saw your car and shit, and we were basically like, this is what we want to be about, you know, like people that build their cars this way and that drive the way you did. That's why, you know, we were all like, for the longest time, you know, Corey and Justin and I were talking like, man, we gotta talk to Matt, we gotta get Matt into the shit, whatever. I don't know, do you think he wants to? So, like, what do you want to do with drifting and shit? I don't know why that's
I mean, I'm just here to have fun, really.
Are you gonna just do like more grassroots shit? Are you gonna do any competition shit? Like,
I really have no desire to ever compete. If it evolves to that, so be it.
Yeah.
But as for right now, I started doing this because it was fun. I'll continue to do it until it's not fun. And if that day ever comes, then...
Dude, for me, I'm like... I'm obviously in it for like grassroots shit and fun and having a good time with my friends. You know, like the people that... Like anything else. Like people you want to fucking laugh with, hang out with, whatever. The people I want to drive with. You know, but... So if I thought for some stupid ass reason that I was good enough for competition, I don't think that I would really have anything to contribute to competition. You know, like I'm saying, like, for one thing, I'm like older in time, right? So like, what the fuck am I gonna do if I compete? Like, I'm not gonna you know, like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna go do Pro 2. I'm not gonna fucking do Formula Drift. I'm not gonna put that sort of money in it. You know. It's a weird thing. It's so weird with, like, you know, you talk to anybody that doesn't drift, people you work with, they're like, oh yeah, man, drift racing, man, it's just badass. And yeah, so who wins? It's the first thing every single time. So who
How
wins?
do you win?
Like, yeah, how do you win? Who wins? Like, they can't wrap their mind
Everybody
around
wins.
like it's so American. Like, everything's got to be so American. They're like, there's got to be a winner. There's got to be whatever. They don't understand taking part in anything unless it, like, profits or, like,
Yep.
you know, yeah, man, my friend's sponsored by Roberto Beef Jerky, man. This motherfucker gets, like, 400 pieces of beef jerky every 2 months. You know, like people just don't get why I feel sorry for people that ask me that shit all the time, because I think, like, they just must not have anything that they actually enjoy in life, if that's the case, you know. But I don't know, it's just weird. I think that specifically with being like the three-legged dog of, like, being into imports and shit, you know, and being like whatever, that it just kind of appeals more to people that were in BMX or skateboarding, or just don't have a need for that because they're already kind of happy with themselves. So those are the people I like being around.
Most
you know?
of the people that I know that are into drifting are into some extreme sport of some sort.
Yeah, everybody.
And it's almost
is,
like they're people that need adrenaline rush, and it just transfers from that to drifting somehow.
Yeah. For me, I like, you know, like, yeah, the skateboarding, snowboarding, stunning, stuff like that. So I think, like, I started doing that way young, so I don't think I ever really learned how to deal with, like, disappointment or being stressed out the way that normal human beings do. You know, like, normal humans are like, oh, well, I'm mature and I deal with this shit. For me, I would jump down a set of stairs, I would skate a ramp, I would do whatever, or jump off, you know, cliff or some shit, snowboarding or whatever. So, like, it's like I get so pent up, I can't chill out unless I have something. And now that it's this, because I got all these old injuries, this is not very accessible. Like, drifting's not real accessible. So for me, I'm a complete and total asshole. I try not to be, but I get pent up. I'm an asshole. I can't chill out until I get to go do this. And so I'm a total wreck right now because I haven't been able to do it since my motor's done or whatever. But I think a lot of the people that are in this, they do have to have that outlet.
Absolutely.
You know, and I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I told you how much I was looking forward to this, just to release a lot of frustration.
Yeah, I know you've been, like,
Just let it all hang out on the
track. You got a lot going on. You got a brand new baby on the way.
Yep, January.
You know, at the end of a pregnancy, you're picking up a lot of responsibility, taking care of, you know, a lot of things. And when you got the holidays, everything coming on like that, brand new baby, you got to get it out, man.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. Any names yet?
We're contemplating on. She wants
Justin?
to name it after.
Blue?
No, it's a girl, so that would be kind of weird.
Or it'd be really cool. My daughter's name's Tommy.
This is true.
So, no, anyway.
But
no, seriously.
She kind of wants to name it after her grandmother, which I'm cool with, and her grandmother's name's Lucy, so it'd be kind of an old school name.
Dude, that's rad.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll be outnumbered by girls.
So your wife and drifting, like, obviously you got a really supportive wife, you know? you got somebody that lets you go and do stuff like this. It's not really like honey met man, you know, like I'm not whatever. Like Amanda's hyper supportive, but it does, you know, with something that is so involved like this. I mean, you work your ass off. You work all the time, so you know, work like that. You obviously get certain freedoms to do certain things like this, put your time and stuff like this. But it takes a lot of time. It takes a whole lot of time on the car. It takes a whole lot of money. So obviously, you've got a hell of a good wife. You know,
she really doesn't complain too much.
You know what? Yeah, she's not really. No.
Honey, you're the best.
Dude, I'm not gonna fucking. That's why.
I mean, I really only have 2 hobbies: this and fishing, really, because I've just had to cut them back over the years.
Yeah.
So just don't have enough time to do all of them. So I had to pick what was important to me, and this is number 1. So I do like 1 event a month. If I'm lucky, if my work schedule allows it, and
you know,
say
it's
much
actually
about it.
It's much better, more involved than like just screaming at a TV and spending like $6,000 a year at Buffalo Wild Wings.
I agree.
You know, I don't know if people really get at it like that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Nah, man, yeah, I'm fucking stoked to have met you. You know, like I meet people. There's so many people here. Like I never come up to these events anymore or whatever, and you know, it's rad the people you meet, because it's just not that simple. It's not that cut and dry. You have to, like, to buy the car, to buy the trailer, to buy the tires, to replace the parts, and then in all of that, just basically logistical nightmare, and just the effort you have to put forward there to define your style and what you like and what you want to do, which you obviously have defined really well within your build. Like you have, it's super clean, everything. You can see the patience, you can see the way you went about it, and you went about it with the right amount of discipline to end up with that product, you know, when you're done with it. So like, to have people that are so committed to where they end up not just making it happen, but they express themselves, and they truly are artists. Absolutely. You know, whether we admit it or not, we are. Like, you don't have to have a paintbrush to be an artist. You don't have to, like, whatever. Like, it is art, okay? Because it's completely expressive, and it's completely about style and everything. So it kills me with the level of respect I have for the people in this when I see a car like yours. And I see you going to events over and over again and doing this shit, and you know, it just isn't easy. So I have a tremendous amount of respect. And then so like seeing people at these events, man, it's what makes it so special, you know? It's rad. So, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for drifting.
No.
You know. So I'm stoked to have met you, and yeah, I'm really grateful you're like willing to be on a fucking team with me and shit and whatever, you know.
You sounded cool.